it's more so about the quality, not the quantity. For me, I want to make sure that every glove that leaves my workshop, we've double and triple checked everything, that the work has been done correctly, that the glove is something that I would be proud of or that I would go use. There are those gloves where words can't describe the transformation of it.
Yeah.
And not so much from clean to dirty, but the story that's behind the glove.
Yes.
And there have been some that have come through the years where people include handwritten letters about the glove and its importance, or its significance because it was passed down, or it was recovered from a crash or recovered from a house fire. And like, those are the stories that I love to share about gloves, because it's so much more than the glove. At that point, it's the memories that you're helping restore for that person.
All right, so I am a glove nerd, and during the last 2 years, I have been in charge of the Just Gloves Instagram account. And on top of that, I also love cleaning. And when dinner ends every night, I love nothing more than throwing on some tunes, crushing some dishes, and sweeping the floor. And every once in a while, there is a certain type of Instagram video that comes along that meets all of the things that you love. And in this case, it was the video of a glove getting cleaned. And the account that posted it was at AZ Glove Lab, also known as The Glove Lab. And our guest today is the owner and professional glove craftsman behind The Glove Lab, Chris Petroff. Welcome to Beyond the Glove, Chris.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. We're pumped to have you in studio. Chris, he flew all the way to Kansas City from Arizona to do this interview, so we were psyched to have you here today.
I'm excited to be here. It's going to be fun, and I'm glad to know that you love doing dishes.
Yeah, oh yeah,
That's
absolutely.
awesome.
You can invite me over. I'll happily do them after dinner for you guys.
Great to hear.
But so I love right now the trend of glove cleaning videos. I also love the just before and after pics of glove cleaning videos. And I also love that there's a lot of people that want to get into it. But I feel like everybody is fighting a little bit of an uphill battle when they get in this game, because in my opinion, you perfected the art of the glove cleaning video a long time ago. You figured out, it seems like to me, you can correct me here, you figured out that the process of cleaning the glove with the glove cleaner, it seemed like you picked that was the perfect thing to do, and it's just so satisfying to watch. And you give just the perfect taste of the process. It's not too long. It's like the perfect amount of time. For those people watching on YouTube, we'll have our producer, Adam, go ahead and put up a sampling of that video for you guys. But how did you narrow down your approach when you were, you have your great Instagram account? What made you choose that portion of the cleaning process to show?
So I actually set my camera to video. Well,
Okay.
I thought I was setting it to video, and I accidentally set it to time lapse.
Okay.
Cleaned the glove. And went to go look back at the video and noticed that it was this really cool time lapse of a cleaning that went from dirty to clean. And it was kind of a happy accident, if you will. I went to go film it because the customer that I was working on wanted me to film me working on the glove so he could have it for his own kind of accord. But that kind of, once I saw the time lapse, posted it. First couple had some initial engagement, and it wasn't until like the 6th, 7th, and 8th where all of a sudden it would catch on, and it did.
Yeah, I love that process. You said by that 6th or 7th video, so that was the point where you realize that you had something in regard to like reactions.
Yeah, and I think it was just more so the engagement. I think people love the satisfaction of seeing the beginning, the middle, and the end of a project, and this kind of narrowed it down into 20 seconds. And keep in mind, like when you're cleaning a glove, they're only seeing maybe 15 minutes of cleaning, and sometimes it could be 30, 35, 40 minutes, depending on how many times you have to clean it or certain areas. So kind of narrowing and condensing that down into a bite-size, post, people love. And whether it's cleaning or whether it's conditioning, like you said, some of the people that do lacing, it is pretty cool just to see the craft of a glove.
Nice. No, and just to tie in as well, how I mentioned that I like listen to music while I was cleaning. You also always have there's a great sampling of music. I don't even know all the songs, but I'm just like, I like that song. It fit perfectly with this video. So.
I appreciate it. Yeah, there's really two genres that I'll go in. It's kind of that red dirt country music.
Yeah.
Or it's hip hop reggae.
Yeah.
And so those are kind of the two genres that I usually have going on in my workshop at any given point. And those are the two genres that I usually end up posting. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just chill.
And so you just mentioned it. So you have your workshop. So.
Yes, sir.
Where is your workshop at? Is that connected to your house in the basement, or where do you do that at?
I wish we had a basement in Phoenix. They're not that common. So we live in north central Phoenix.
Okay.
It's an area of town where the homes were built anywhere from like the late 40s to the early 70s.
Okay.
In our area, most homes have the original workshop that was attached to the home.
Really?
And so that's what I work out of. It's a small space. It's 6 by 14.
Okay.
But it's a pretty cool little eclectic leather workshop.
Nice.
So yeah, it's attached to my home. So we'll have people that come by.
All right. So I got a little ahead of myself there and dove right in on the bread and butter with your social media posts. But let's go back a few steps. So I've been working here at Just Gloves for about 10 years. And the first 5 years I actually did in our customer service department, which I've mentioned a few times. And customer service is an important position, as I dedicate a lot of my time to helping parents and players pick the right gear for Just Bats and Just Gloves sites. But it took a lot of my love of baseball to get through some of those years. As working customer service, there are challenges to it. And I'm going to guess that you have to truly love the game to decide to found and operate a glove repair company. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
For sure. Totally.
Okay. So we'll go back to the beginning. So where did you grow up, and what's your first memory of falling in love with the sport of baseball?
Yeah. So I grew up in Phoenix, essentially 2 streets north of where I live now.
Nice.
My parents still live in the home that I grew up in. And I grew up playing the game of baseball. At a young age, I wasn't the best player by any means. I was usually like one of the last kids picked for Little League. And then by middle school, it just something clicked. And enjoyed playing through high school, played 4 years of varsity in high school, had the opportunity to go play college baseball. But at the end of the day, I really wanted to focus on school and college. So I stopped playing after high school.
Gotcha. And where did you go to college at?
So I went to school I did my undergraduate at Northern Arizona University.
Okay.
And then I did a master's at Grand Canyon University.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, there you go.
Slopes up.
There you go. Absolutely. I didn't know. There's a school around here in Nebraska. They're the Antelopes as well, but they go by the Lopers. So I didn't know if those they were
right.
how you guys shortened that. But nice. And home now, like you said earlier. So you're still there in Arizona, just 2 streets down. And as most baseball players are playing, I feel like they appreciate the craft of baseball glove making, and they admire a well-made glove, maybe even have a specific series that they prefer, like a Heart of the Hide from Rawlings, or maybe they like new gloves and they like the Emery Cordura gloves. But for you, at some point, the interest in gloves had to go a little bit beyond just the usual appreciation of them. When did that first happen for you?
Yeah, it honestly was, several years ago for me. So let me back up. So I've always appreciated the craftsmanship of a product.
Okay.
Whether it's something that's made by wood, or something that's turned by wood, or something that is created by a skilled craftsman. I've always been enamored by being able to fix, repair, work on something with your hands. And it wasn't until several years ago when my son was playing ball, broke a lace, and I fixed it for him. And I fixed it for him because looking back, back to when I played in high school ball, my glove broke, and I remember my dad showing me. I was mortified because they had just bought me a brand new A2000. It was an A2800 first base mitt.
Okay.
And about a month after having it, a lace broke, and I was terrified. I'm like, oh crap, we're gonna have to go buy a new glove. And that's when he showed me that no, it can be repaired, not replaced.
Okay.
And that really stuck with me. But yeah, it was, I would say, probably 5 or 6 years ago when repairing Jack's glove really kind of re-fostered that love of baseball gloves, and diving in further into the craft.
Okay. And so relatively recently is kind of when you really fully dove in. So did you just trial and error it to start, or did you, there are some, I know there's like Dirty 30 leather and lace out there. Did you start with YouTube videos, or how did you get started?
So I've always kind of just tinkered, if you will, even before that on just, messing around with gloves or here or there for friends and family. When I did Jack's, it was like a week later, a teammate of his lace broke, fixed that. The store at which we bought the lace from, I know the owner, and he asked me, he's like, you know how to fix gloves? And I'm like, yeah, sure I do. And so he's like, awesome, why don't you make me some cards and I'm going to refer customers to you. And I was like, I have a full-time job. Like, I don't need a side gig. And he's like, no, if you do it, it'll really help me out. I don't want my customers going to like a national chain to get their glove fixed because then I might lose a customer. So I did it really to help him out at first. And then it just kind of spawned from there.
Really?
So yeah.
That's pretty cool. And so that first, in your son Jack's glove that broke, so that one was, do you remember what that glove was?
Wilson A2000.
Wilson A2000. Nice. Yeah. So those are fun. That's awesome that you remember those gloves. Yeah. I really enjoy the, just as I mentioned earlier, just the before and after portions of a, showing a fixed up glove. And it's always funny to me because it kind of reminds me of when you go on a vacation and you see a picture of a mountain, you take a picture of it, and then you go back and show your friends, and they're like, that's really cool. But it's like, oh, but it's way cooler than that. You're like, you won't even be able to, you can't believe how awesome it was. Do you get that feeling whenever you're doing gloves?
A lot. There are those gloves where words can't describe the transformation of it.
Yeah.
And not so much from clean to dirty, but the story that's behind the glove.
Yes.
And there have been some that have come through the years where people include handwritten letters about the glove and its importance or its significance because it was passed down or it was recovered from a crash or recovered from a house fire. And like those are the stories that I love to share about gloves because it's so much more than the glove. At that point, it's the memories that you're helping restore for that person. And for me, I will take those gloves all day long. It's pretty special to be able to be a small part of it.
Yeah. And with baseball gloves and softball gloves, it's just so cool because, like with a bat's eventually going to come to the line where it's going to break, or if it's a metal bat, it's not going to be able to hit the ball the same way. But with the gloves, I feel like, you can always catch, for the most part, you can always catch with that glove or have somebody fix it up for you where it can catch. And like the memory that you had from using it is still always going to come back.
The memory, the smell of the glove,
Yes.
How your hand fits in it, it really becomes an extension of the body. And that's why you see a lot of, pro guys, they'll use gloves for years and years and years because they know exactly where that thumb is, where that pinky is, how the ball funnels into the, into the pocket. It becomes an extension of them. And so that glove does become so personal where, as you talked about with bats, they're personal as well, but once they break, you have to use a new one, where with a glove, it can be repaired, and for the most part, if repaired properly, can still feel the same and still bring that same level of confidence to the player, regardless if they're a major league player or a little league player.
That's awesome. You mentioned, and the smells. I mentioned this a few episodes back, but whenever I smell someone using, or I smell Wilson Pro Stock conditioner, that's always like, I'm like, gloves is immediate. Because my dad would have like every spring, he'd have like day where he like would get everybody's glove out and recondition it. It's like that immediately takes me back. It's like I'm a kid and my dad's cleaning my gloves right now.
That's awesome. So that's a special memory.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So you had kind of alluded to this a little bit earlier, but so you're a well-studied guy from when I was doing my research on you, and so well before you started the glove lab, that was 2019. Is that correct?
So that's when it was legally formed as a company. Okay. Was dabbling in with gloves just here and there again for friends, families, Jack's buddies, my daughter Lucy, her friends as well. A couple years before that.
Gotcha. Okay.
But yeah.
Nice. And so, but you have a lot of other personal and business interests. Your LinkedIn is fantastic, I have to say. So on his LinkedIn, he has two of my favorite things I've seen on a LinkedIn. You have Intro to Leather certification from the University of Cincinnati. I was like, that's fantastic. I want that personally. And then you're also a member of SABR, the Society for American Baseball Research. I was like, I want both of those certifications on my LinkedIn after reading that. But could you give us a rundown just of the things that you've done that have kind of led you I guess what I'll say is like, I'm very impressed by the way the Glove Lab, your presentation of everything that you do. What led you up? Like, you've had a lot of business experience. What have you done that kind of led you to where you could just take the Glove Lab and let it fly?
Compile that into a Cliff Notes version for you. So I've always been an entrepreneur.
Okay.
I've always been one that I love seeing problems and figuring out how to solve that problem differently than how it would traditionally be solved. So most of my career was spent in economic development, where I was working for a nonprofit in Greater Phoenix, where we would go out on the city's behalf and attract companies to come to town. One of the big issues that we had in Phoenix was that there was not a lot of resources for startups and entrepreneurs. During that time, I co-founded a incubator in Phoenix that helped entrepreneurs and startups get the resources that they needed to be successful.
Okay.
So that was kind of my first foray into helping startups, helping entrepreneurs. Fast forward, got out of economic development and went into commercial construction. And it was during that time as when I went back and I got my master's.
Okay.
And I was really struggling at that time because I really wanted to figure out how to work in the game of baseball. I love baseball. It's my passion.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here all day. I was doing business development at the time. How am I going to get into the game of baseball? And I've always been, I always used and worked with data. And so I thought, well, maybe I'll go back and I'll get a master's in data analytics and figure out how to get into the game of baseball.
Yeah.
So that's what I went back and got my master's in. It was kind of a business analytics master's. Only to quickly find out that working in data analytics in Major League Baseball is interesting after talking to some folks, and it just really wasn't the path for me at this time in my life.
Okay.
But it kind of opened some other doors. And it was around 2018, 2019 when we really started getting the Glove Lab up and running. It was in the midst of that master's. So a lot of the lessons that I had learned in marketing and sales and helping and building startups, really I've incorporated into the Glove Lab and with that passion of doing something with my hands.
Okay.
So it kind of checked all these little boxes professionally for me, and has been an absolute joy.
Yeah. That is really cool. I imagine, when I'm talking to my wife, it's like, when you're able to do something with your hands, it's just so fulfilling and really makes like the work mean something. It's not just work at the end of the day.
It is. And for me, it's more so about the quality, not the quantity. For me, I want to make sure that every glove that leaves my workshop, we've double and triple checked everything, that the work has been done correctly, that the glove is something that I would be proud of or that I would go use. And so for me, it's really about the quality of that product.
Okay, nice. And so in the midst of family, business, life, you start the Glove Lab in 2019. You move from business cards to legal entity, it sounds like at that point. Give us the elevator pitch of what the Glove Lab is and what you do.
Yeah. So what we are today, so the Glove Lab is, excuse me, I always say it's kind of we're a full service baseball and softball glove pro shop.
Okay.
So today we take in gloves for relacing, reconditioning, restoration, repairs. Is kind of a big part of the business.
Okay.
About 3 years ago, we started bringing out our own line of gloves in small batches. So it's not something that we constantly have inventory of. There are, again, small batches that we'll do a release maybe 4 times a year. And that's been a kind of a fun little part of the business as well, just because once we release them, usually 24 to 48 hours, they're sold out and gone.
They're so clean. If you haven't seen them, you gotta go. I love it. It's awesome. Continue.
But it's that's been a fun little kind of just a fun little project on its own. And then as of late, really introducing more products for the ball players, coaches, parents to procure just to help maintain their gloves. So bringing in different conditioning projects, different products to use for when you're releasing your gloves at home, whether it's specialty like lacing needles, lacing waxes, different moisturizers, conditioners, cleaners, all that kind of fun stuff. We brought in recently the glove clips to transport your glove around.
Yeah.
So we're constantly curating and developing new products now to add to that as well.
Nice. So what do you think so far? So when you're looking at the last 5 years, what's been the biggest success of the Glove Lab so far?
Restoring memories for our customers.
Nice.
Hands down. It honestly, that's what I love to do. It's not, most of the gloves we get come in the mail. So I'm either communicating with customers via email or social media. But those that are local in Phoenix, being able to take a glove that was passed down from their grandpa to their dad, now to them, and being able to put it on their hand again so they can go play catch with their son or their daughter, that hands down is what I love doing.
Really?
That's in essence what we want to do, is be able to keep people playing with their glove as long as they can.
Nice. And then what's been the hardest aspect for you of running the Glove Lab?
Early on was just balancing everything. Early on between, family, marriage, work, masters, and the Glove Lab, there's just, have a lot of balls that you're juggling.
Yeah, I'm sure.
And that was probably the hardest thing to balance. Right now, I would say it's pretty much it's me and then my dad, who helps out quite a bit.
Okay, nice.
So when I'm working in the shop all day, usually at night is when I'm responding to all the emails.
Okay.
And so that for me is just trying to balance the working on the business and working in the business. Can be difficult.
Nice. And that's really cool. So was your dad, when he started working with you, was there like a little bit of a learning curve for him to like be able to do it quickly, or was he already ready to go?
So no, and again, that's what we focused really on, like, hey, the quality of, let's get it done right. My dad he's amazing. He is one that can pretty much fix or build anything.
Okay.
He was an architect. He's retired now. But when we started getting an increase in volume of orders that were coming to the house, I needed help delacing them, doing some of the initial cleanings, stuff like that. And so he's like, I would love to take on a project, and my mom's like, yes, give him gloves, give him gloves. So he helps out tremendously.
Nice.
And yeah, really does help out with a lot of early stuff. So when I get them back, I'm either doing a secondary cleaning on them, and then I'm relacing them, or I'm repairing them at that time.
Okay.
So.
And for you, lacing the patterns right now, is it just like the back of your hand, like for most of them, or do you have to do much like kind of tinkering? Or
yeah, I would say about 90% of the gloves we get, I've done before.
Okay.
And then you get that like 1973 Spalding that has like 17 laces in it, or a Nakona from the 80s that has 23 laces in it, and it's I'm saying that in jest, but
yeah.
The gloves from like 70s and 80s, some of them had some really funky webs. And so those, what we'll do is, while we're taking them apart, I'm literally sketching them out onto a piece of paper.
Okay.
Understanding how that lace traced through the web into the glove shell, how it connected, all that type of stuff. And I'm videoing the process and photographing it. So when we go to relace it, we're relacing it back to the factory specs.
Nice.
And that's how I learn. And that's what I love about it, is that it's something that I haven't done, and then I'm learning, and then I'm documenting it for the next time that I get that glove.
Okay. So do you have like a database, or do you just like take like pictures and just kind of document it in like a file or something like that to know if you need to go back to something or something like that?
So when I'm drawing it, always I date the paper, because then that helps me go find the photos.
Okay, yeah.
I eventually want to build a database of all of the photos that I've taken.
That'd be sweet.
I think right now on my phone, I think I have somewhere in the neighborhood of like 30-something thousand photos, and it's and I need to get those organized.
That's funny.
So
this makes me laugh. I just have to share this. So my dad's an optometrist, and every once in a while he would like have to take pictures of eyes or something like that. And like a database of eyes or something like that. And
great Instagram channel right there.
Yeah, I know. But no, that's so cool. I love that. I'm way behind you, but I've done a little bit of glove fixing. And I remember, for the most part, it was Rawlings Wilson was all I did for the longest time. And then I got a Mizuno one day that was a little bit different. And I was like, oh man, like you described, I was like drawing a picture and like putting dots on it and stuff like that, and like doing loop-de-loops to try to remember exactly how I did it. But dude, when you get done fixing a glove that you didn't know how to do, it's like like Herb Brooks at the end of Miracle when he like puts his hands up above his head in the hallway. It's like that kind of feeling.
It's rewarding, and and I encourage everyone. We have a lot of customers that are like, "Hey, can I do it on my own?" And we'll try to help walk them through how to do it. And it is because there's that personal satisfaction of one, learning how to do something new, but also if your kid wakes up on a Saturday morning before a 10U tournament and he comes up to the kitchen saying my lace is broke, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And I love getting those calls on, hey, how to fix it, and be able to give someone those 2 fists up on, helping them fix it. It's pretty fun.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
Pretty fun.
So one of my favorite things about the Glove Lab, and you had mentioned it a little earlier, is just those products that you have. The glove clip, the lace wax, the Wagyu glove treatment, and the Skiver. I love that stuff. And you can't find that at your local sporting goods stores anymore. It's even sometimes it's hard to find lace these days.
Good lace.
So yes, yeah, and I just love that you have those products, and it's like, oh, I finally found my one spot where I can go and find all the cool lace items that I feel like you used to find more of at stores at times.
No, I appreciate it. And some of the stuff is, there's a ton of different cleaners and conditioners out there. And, over the years, we've tested a lot of different cleaners and conditioners just to, learn from their pH levels. How are they affecting and impacting the leather over time? And so our goal is really to offer, cleaners and conditioners that we would use.
Okay.
That, don't have certain oils in them. Products that have neat's foot oil or mink oil are really you kind of want to stay away from in regards to chrome tan leathers. And so really digging into the ingredients of all these products so we can stand behind the products that we sell.
Nice.
But then like lace waxes, it's, how do you coat the laces, protect the laces so they don't break in a game or break in practice? And
if I remember, are they usually chrome tanned as well, or are they usually a different type of tan?
So there's a couple different tannages that are used for laces. They can either be alum tanned, or chrome tanned, and then on occasion you can find laces that are chrome alum tanned, and they have different properties. Chrome tans tend to be soft and strong. Chrome alum chrome are kind of right in that middle. Alum tan are pretty firm.
Okay, gotcha.
But wax, though, the wax that we make and that we sell, it's Arizona beeswax that has some other products in it that just really help condition and penetrate the lace. So that way, one, it as you're lacing it, it makes it easier. But two, it helps coat and protect that lace for the long haul of the glove.
That's awesome. I was gonna ask that if you didn't mention it. I was like, does it? I feel like it's got to make it easier to get that lace through there.
For
if
sure.
If you're going for a little,
It does, and it protects it from fraying. But the biggest thing is just, there's a little bit of lanolin in there, and the lanolin really just kind of helps coat and protect that leather. So
nice. Okay, so we're gonna get into the weeds a little bit here. So you have your Wagyu glove treatment. Did I say that correct?
Yeah. So it's from a company called Wagyu JB.
Okay.
And they're from Japan.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. And so I was watching recently. You had a video about it. So the way that it works, it looks like you spray the treatment on first, and then you rub it in, and then put a conditioner on top of it.
So it's actually I call it a moisturizer more than a conditioner. And what I recommend it for, so I call it a moisturizer because I think for conditioning, you don't want to condition a glove every day, or else it's just going to become a hot mess.
Yeah.
What this Wagyu I'll call it moisturizer does is it just helps put a little bit of moisture in the leather when it's somewhat dry, when it doesn't need kind of a deep conditioning.
Okay.
And it's a great product. It doesn't weigh down the leather. It goes in, moisturizes the leather, and then over time evaporates, which is what you want any product that you're putting on leather to do.
Okay.
And so that's why, I think it's a great product to use kind of on an every other day basis before a game, just to get a little bit of moisture in that leather to make sure that when that ball hits, it's sticking and not popping out.
Yeah.
It's great for that kind of every other day application.
I really like that because, kind of like I mentioned earlier, when you do like the big, heavy like conditioning, you're really only supposed to do that like once, maybe a few times a year, correct?
It just depends on where you live.
Depends on where you live.
So
okay.
like in Arizona, for instance, really hot, very dry. Every ounce of moisture in that glove is going to get drained very quick. On a glove in Arizona, you're going to want to, if you're playing 5 to 6 days a week, you're playing 10 months out of the year, you're going to want to put a light coating of conditioner on your glove, call it every 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
A light coating goes a long way when it comes to conditioning. But in climates where it's not hot and humid, for most of the time, that may get pushed out a little bit more, where you're putting on a light coat every 5 to 6 weeks.
Okay.
But in Arizona, most of the time we're doing every 3 to 4 weeks of very light coat, just because the dry air, even with the gloves inside of a house, that moisture is getting pulled out of it.
Nice. I like, because you got your glove and getting something on it's nice. It's just a nice thing to have, to be like, all right, I'm taking care of my glove, and not just like leaving it and letting it be, and what might happen at that point.
For sure. So. And I'll tell you, for anyone who's about ready to condition their gloves, one of the best things you can do before you condition the glove is take like a shoe polish brush.
Okay.
Brush the glove first to get any kind of dust that might be there from the infield. Get it off the glove, and then put a light coat on it, and it'll be good to go.
There we go. Nice. Okay. And I have to ask this question now, because this one's killed me for forever. I may be completely off and know nothing, but are all glove care products conditioners? Or does a conditioner need to be like a paste or jelly-like substance, while a glove oil is something completely different? Preach. I'll let you preach.
Conditioners and oils are different.
Okay.
But oftentimes they get used, it's the same thing for a lot of people.
Okay.
I don't recommend using oils on gloves, and that is like a liquid oil.
Okay.
So when you put an oil like a neat's foot oil onto a glove, that oil is going to go into the leather, and for the most time it's going to live there.
Okay.
It's going to saturate the leather, go into the fibers of the leather, and for the most part it's going to stay there for a while. Over time, part of that oil will evaporate, but some of the byproduct that's in it is going to live in the leather.
Gotcha.
Conditioners go into the leather, and they evaporate and release from the leather.
Okay.
They're designed a lot like a lotion that we'd put on our skin.
Okay.
Where we apply the lotion, and then the next day our skin is dry, we got to apply more lotion.
Okay.
And that's what you really want in any product that you put onto a glove. So one, it doesn't weigh the glove down over the course of a season or a year or 3 years or 5 years. But two, it's also a lot healthier for the leather.
Okay.
Sometimes oils can go rancid depending on what they're made from.
Yeah.
Where a conditioner oftentimes it has other products in it that won't go rancid.
Yeah.
That will again go in and moisturize the leather, allow the leather and the glove to perform at a high level without some of the negatives that come along with oils.
Gotcha.
So that's why they're a little different.
I appreciate you straightening it out. I feel you always hear those mixed together, and it's like there needs to be like a diction or like a thesaurus that like gives us straight answers for baseball use of those terms.
Now, most conditioners though will have like an oil in it.
Okay.
But it's not a pure oil that you're putting onto the leather.
Gotcha. Okay. Perfect. All right. So what's ahead for the Glove Lab? I've seen you have some work going with Mac Provisions maybe or something like that. Okay.
Yeah. So really over the last few months, I've known Casey Mack with Mac Provisions for quite a few years. Last few months, he and I have kind of been putting our heads together on how we kind of elevate repairs in the glove community.
Okay.
He is truly a leather craftsman that knows how to build products from scratch.
Okay.
And he's done a lot of work with gloves over the years with his products. So when he and I started, talking through, we can do hand stall replacements and binding repairs and a lot of the major surgeries that come along with gloves. That's stuff that he has done before and feels completely, confident and comfortable doing. And
Yeah.
We've done some sample gloves, and they're absolutely amazing. And so over the last couple months now, we've started opening up those repairs.
Okay.
Which has been kind of a needed segment in the glove community.
Yeah.
So we're starting to collaborate more. We're also developing some new products. So we've had some folks that have come to us in niches within baseball that have specific needs for a new type of a glove, or a new product here, a new product there. So we're working on some new products that we might be able to bring to the market later this year.
Nice.
But yeah, excited to be working with someone that is as passionate about baseball and quality craftsmanship as I am.
Nice. The binding, I have a glove that's like the binding's completely rotted, and you're right. There's not a lot of that right now to get the binding fixed and stuff like that, or the inner hand staller. So that's sweet. I'm excited. I'm excited by that news.
We're excited, and like I said, I'm still a novice. I've done a lot of repairs that have been like hand sewn.
Yeah.
And so I'm still a novice as it comes to operating an industrial sewing machine.
Yeah.
But Casey's been doing it for 12 years now as a professional machine operator.
Okay.
And so, yeah, his work is really good.
Nice.
His work is really good.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Chris, thanks for coming on, man. This is great time.
Yeah.
I think this content, as Chris and I were talking before we started recording, I think this content, there's not a lot of places out there to get this and like kind of hear these in-depth conversations about not only you starting this business, but also like what's the difference between a conditioner and oil and that stuff. So I'm glad that we're able to have a sounding board to be able to have these. And I hope more people see this is here and make sure to come and use it. So
I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
So usually before we let our guests go, we do a 3 strikes game. You got 3 questions, 20 seconds to answer at the end. So question number 1, or strike number 1. So this episode is getting released in May time, but I'm already thinking about 2025 spring training. What is the best spring training experience in the Phoenix area?
Okay, awesome question. We have quite a few complexes in Phoenix. I always tell people that ask me this question, go to Maryvale.
Okay.
People are like, what? Wait, what about Scottsdale? What about Sloan Park? What about Salt River Fields? Where the Brewers play at Maryvale is a gem of a facility.
Okay.
Not a lot of people. I don't want to say not a lot of people go, because a lot of people want to go to these other ballparks in Scottsdale and whatnot. But backfield access, super easy.
Okay.
The infield, kind of in-stadium experience, they just put $60 million into it.
Wow.
Is incredible. You park right by the stadium. You don't have to park a half mile away. It's awesome.
Okay.
Highly recommend going to Maryvale, checking out the Brewers complex, catching a game. Before that, going to the backfields, watch practices. It's awesome.
So Chris here, for those that are listening, not watching, Chris is wearing his Diamondbacks hat. But are you this part of your heart? Are you a little bit of a Brewers fan because of their?
No, I'm a big Diamondbacks fan. I've worked with a lot of Brewers over the years.
Okay.
But as a kid growing up, we always went. I shouldn't say we always, but most of the time we went to Maryvale. 1, because it was more affordable.
Okay.
And 2, because of it's a more intimate game experience.
Okay.
A lot of the newer stadiums have gotten really big, but the Maryvale Stadium is a pretty intimate experience. It's awesome.
Nice. That's awesome. I love that advice there.
Sorry,
Okay.
it's longer than 20 seconds.
It's all good. We just say that. So, okay. So strike number 2. So favorite glove that an MLB player is using right now? Anyone that comes to mind specifically?
That's a tough question.
Yeah.
That is a really tough question. So I will say first and foremost, my son plays third base.
Okay.
He's a big fan of Nolan Arenado. The glove that he uses right now is designed and modeled after that pattern.
Okay.
It's awesome. So I would say, Nolan Arenado's glove. I'll also give a shout out to the other Nolan on the Cardinals, Nolan Gorman.
Okay, yeah.
He rocks a pretty sweet Nakona.
Yeah.
That's quite nice. So I'll say both of the Nolans.
Nice.
On the St. Louis Cardinals.
I laughed when you said the Nolan Arenado one, because I was like, that's my favorite glove. He just like the brown. It's
classic.
All the colors. And I know people love all the colors. It is cool the way it works right now in the gloves, because people love the colors, but they also love the traditional, the blacks and browns still, which I want both of them. I want both. So I think it's a fun area. And then number 3. So you live in Arizona, and I feel like Arizona, that's the new vacation spot. If I have a friend, they're going on a bachelor party, they're either going to Nashville or they're going to Phoenix. I feel like these days, what is the hidden gem that someone needs to hit up when they're visiting the Arizona or Phoenix area?
Okay. So for a baseball fan going to Phoenix, I would highly recommend going and checking out a game at GCU.
Okay. All right.
So,
Perfect.
and I say that because for a college facility, it's one of the nicest college facilities that I've been to.
Okay.
It's a very intimate experience, but it feels like a minor league stadium.
Okay.
And it's an overall awesome experience. So I would say that's a hidden gem that I recommend to a lot of baseball fans going to Phoenix to go catch a game there. Yeah, I would recommend that.
Nice, perfect. Yeah. And then I always have to ask this because this is my thought whenever I go to a new city. What's the best cheap eat in the Phoenix area?
Cheap eats. So not necessarily cheap, but a good place that I recommend people go to that are there. It's called Little Miss Barbecue.
Okay.
It's been in Phoenix for a while. They got a couple locations, and it's some of the best barbecue. It's more like It's more like Central Texas barbecue style.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's hands down. It's pretty dang good.
All right. Perfect. We got it. Well, Chris, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
It's been an awesome conversation.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. We appreciate you guys listening in. The best thing that you can do for us, if you like this podcast and want to get the word out, just share it with your friends. We're always looking to get this to people that love baseball gloves. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating. Until next time, we'll see you guys. This is Beyond the Glove.